What is inflation? Well, like everything else in economics, it goes back to supply and demand. Inflation basically is an overall increase of the prices relative to the products in the economy. Or, or in other words, basically, there's too much money chasing too few goods. According to the quantitative theory of money, the amount of money in the economy sets the prices. And inflation is caused when you increase the money supplies while not simultaneously increasing the production in the economy. You can actually get an effect called deflation, is when you decrease the money supplies while not simultaneously decreasing the amount of production in the economy. This can be represented by this equation right here, which says that the velocity of money times the supply of money has to equal the price level times the production in the economy. What does that mean? Basically, if you increase one of these variables on the left, the right has to increase, or vice versa. Same thing, if you decrease one of the variables, the other ones have to decrease. So if you were to increase the money supply by printing trillions of dollars, let's say, but production, which in the long run relatively stays the same, and velocity of money doesn't really change at all, that means you have to change the price levels in the economy. Okay, let's say hypothetically speaking, there's a pandemic and the government starts printing trillions of dollars. We'll talk about this in another video, don't worry about it. Right? And production stays the same. What's going to happen? Because velocity is the same overall, and there's an increase in the money supplies, and production is the same, that means the price levels have to increase. Okay, but inflation is not necessarily always a monetary thing, right? In theory, you could decrease production, but by keeping the same money supply level overall in the economy, it will cause the prices to increase. So take, for example, somebody, I don't know, hypothetically tariffs the entire planet, the amount of production within the economy, within this local economy, will shrink, but because nobody is burning dollar bills at the rate that you're losing the money, you're going to have inflation overall. What's interesting, though, is that even though inflation's a macro-wide effect affecting every part of the economy, it also affects different markets and sectors of the economy at different rates. That's why the CPI typically excludes oil and food from its inflation index, because they are so volatile. That's inflation, you beautiful person. I make videos on politics, economics, and philosophies, or just social sciences in general. Follow.